Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. It's just Marco here once again, and I am here today to review Your Honor, Season 2, Episode 10. This is the finale of Season 2. Okay, I'm not going to start there. Okay, I'm going to start before that. So, obviously, last season, I dreamed about the finale before it happened. That did not happen this time at all. So, you can just, forget about that. I had a dream that I will be putting into a movie pitch that I'm doing for the channel as a fun side video. And so you'll see that in the future. So unfortunately, I can't say that for this finale. However, I am going to talk about the whole finale, breaking it down. I don't even want to talk about it. Honestly, I don't think they know how to do finales. It's funny because they did that one episode. What was that, episode 7? Episode 7 was one of the best TV episodes of the past 10 years. It was a masterpiece. It was incredible. It was like a finale, but better, because there were no stakes to make it into a finale. They didn't have to worry about, okay, we have to resolve all these conflicts for this season and then set up stuff for next season. They just focused on this story, and it was tight, and it was very well told, and it was very intense and impactful. Now, this episode, on the other hand, is... Well, okay, let's get into it. I mean, I was already a bit of I don't know what to call it. I was a bit on the edge because I'm allergic to mosquitoes, and in my sleep I had 10 mosquitoes bite me in my neck and face, and so my neck and face are all swollen up, and I'm just sitting here with nothing to do because I'm waiting for the the fucking bites to go away. And then I turn on this episode and it's oh. It was like getting bitten by 1,000 mosquitoes at the same time or something. It wasn't bad in terms of how it was made. It was bad in terms of the story and the characters and the plot and the everything. And you know what? By the way, I guess I should just go ahead and rate this episode, because I've done that for the whole season so far. Well, this is the last episode. I'm sorry, but I have to give this episode an F-. I think that this episode is worse than the finale of last season. I think this episode is worse than any episode from last season. It was bad. It was really, really bad. So Hector won't let Gina take over the Baxters because she's a woman. And God, I don't even it's not because I'm not feeling well, but it's just because this is so bad. I don't even want to get into why this stuff is trash. I don't even want to be okay, this is stupid. Obviously 2023, we have to have this stupid storyline about how Gina asks Hector to become leader, and then he's like, no, sorry, you're a whammon. Like, oh. Ugh. Do I even need to explain why that's stupid? Do I even need to explain, like, I don't want to. Jimmy, I'm just going to read these notes, and we'll see if I wake up in a couple of minutes and start, like, I don't know, I just... I don't even want to do a review, honestly. It was so bad. Like, it's so different from the rest of the season. It feels like it was rushed. It feels like it was like they could have gone on, and it was like they figured out the truth and how, television, it goes on, and you have like these storylines that continue, and they go new places, and they keep on going places until they reach a natural ending or a good ending that's very well written. But in this finale, it just felt like the writers from season 1 came back, and it felt like they were like, okay, never mind, we have to end now, and so let's just finish everything up and hurry up and just let's pack our bags. I mean, it was almost like the season 2 writers were told by the season 1 writers, you guys leave now. And then the season 1 writers came in and they staged like a revolution or something, and then all it was just the season 1 writers, and they were all like, let's get Marco back for his criticism of season 1. And then they started coming up with like, what are the stupidest fucking... I wish that this was a car review. And you know what, guys? After I get better from these mosquito bites, I'm going to be doing a car review for season 2 as a whole. And if you don't know, a car review means that I can talk in the normal level of voice that I would talk when I do like a rant video. But I can't do that here if I'm just doing a normal review. So it just felt like, what are the stupidest fucking things that we could come up with? What are the like, just let's figure out, okay, Marco does not like Eugene. Character, not the actor. I think the actor did a good job in this episode, and I don't have a problem with him. It's just the character. Okay, well, let's do all this, and then Marco wanted Little Mo to do this, so let's do this. Oh, let's not do anything. Let's just not do anything, because it'll be in season 3, even though season 3 probably won't happen, and we'll talk about that later. In fact, I already had a bad feeling about season 3, because last night I saw Bryan Cranston's post, and I thought it said something about like the end of a journey, and whenever I see something like that, it's always like, oh no, because it makes me think either a major character died, like maybe they killed off Your Honor, or they just ended the series. And either way, though, I was like, oh no. Like I was already like starting this episode off with like a weird... Let's look and see. Oh, did he delete it? Or did it... He had to have deleted it, bruh. Why did Bryan Cranston delete the last post? He had a post with him and Jimmy. And it said like, this is the end of a journey. Damn it. Okay, I'm just going to get back to my notes. And I know that this is a very disconnected review. But this episode was disconnected as well. So Jimmy rejects Desire's permission to expand business. Why is he doing this? Because he turned straight. and he is trying to protect his business and family from being prosecuted by Mrs. I want to talk to you. Olivia's case is dead. She's got nothing. She's penniless. She's got nothing to take back to her boss, and so her boss is going to transfer her to somewhere else. Maybe they'll transfer me to Boston, and I will have to prosecute the maple syrup bootleggers. I just wish this season had more of Olivia being like, I want to solve this case. I want to get Jimmy, because I don't want my boss to send me to Boston so that I have to prosecute maple syrup bootleggers. And it's funny because Olivia has this like heart-to-heart conversation with Nancy. She's like, I want to talk to you, Nancy. It's not about business. It's about pleasure. Oh, it's about the maple syrup, the bootleggers. And after this whole season where Nancy hated Olivia, she didn't want to have anything to do with Olivia, the whole point of Olivia's character was that she was this evil, seedy, what do you call her? A DA, attorney, whatever the fuck. She was a person in the hierarchy, and she was like one of those shitty people who take their jobs too seriously, and they're cogs of a machine, rather than people, and they're just really like the worst type of people to deal with, and they're really soulless and heartless. That's what her character was, and she did a really good job at playing that character at first, and I was really excited for, what her character would do this season, because I thought, like, the whole draw to this season was that she would force Michael to do stuff the whole season, and it would be like a reverse of season 1, where instead of Michael doing a bunch of illegal things to cover up a crime, he has to do a bunch of illegal things because she's telling him to help solve a crime or something. I thought it was like a really clever and smart reversal of season 1, but it wasn't. It was just, let's find an excuse to get Michael out of prison, and we have to contrive this excuse using Olivia, and it's gotta be this. And this scene was a prime example because, Olivia, she was not in good faith with Nancy, and so why are they having this heart-to-heart like they were in like a relationship the whole season of like working together? Like, I thought that was kind of queer. It was fine though, like it wasn't terrible. And then the Eugene court story is really rushed, I think. But at the same time, like, I guess it's okay because it was good to finally have court stuff in the show again. The show definitely was lacking when it wasn't having any scenes that took place in a courtroom, so the Eugene court story is kind of a double-edged sword. I discussed in the comments last week that I thought that it would have actually been pretty cool as well if they had spent season 3 with Lee trying to frame Adam's teacher for killing him. And I thought that could have been actually an interesting story. They could have done something like that because, wow. Okay, let's just continue talking about Lee, because Lee, she's such a good actress, but she's such a terrible character now. I mean, she is using this case as a way to prosecute Michael. LOL, what a biatch. Lee doesn't want Judge Michael to be called Judge Michael. what a biatch. She's just heartbroken still, LOL. And so, like, right off the bat, she's throwing temper tantrums. She's acting like Amber Heard's lawyers. And she's like, do not, I don't want him called Judge Michael. He will just be called Michael. Or Mr. Desiato. He will not be called Judge. And I thought, like, she wanted Michael to help her out, and she wanted him to help get the killer of his son off of, going to prison for any time whatsoever. And yet, she spends the first part of this trial, of this questioning, telling the judge that Michael shouldn't be called Judge because she doesn't respect him and because he's bad, Michael devil, wah, wah, wah. Lee, and this is where we come to the realization, too. Lee literally took this case just to get revenge against Michael for lying to her. So, that's what it felt like. Like, this was all a ploy. It was all a ploy because Lee doesn't want to go talk to him in person like Olivia. She won't do that. She has to find some way to contrive this situation so that she can, have a heart-to-heart and be like, what were you doing, Michael? Like, she was really, really getting personal and just acting like a terrible lawyer. And it was just a pretty bad. The whole Rocco incident completely is overshadowing the fact that Eugene killed Adam in cold blood, and he didn't even want to kill Adam in the first place. Like, it was really weird how in this episode everything switched around to being about Rocco. And it's like, wait a second, this trial is about Adam and how Eugene came to a hotel and shot Adam. Thea goes back to Baxter family after Michael confesses that Adam killed Rocco. And I gotta say, like, Thea, I don't, she has disappointed me for the last time. Everything she does in this episode was terrible. She's like a completely different character. And so she's just going to bounce around to different father figures because she's so insecure. So, Michael does something bad. She's going to go back to Jimmy. Jimmy does something bad. She's going to go back to Michael. And then, she can hold on to Adam and how Adam was a good person. And it's like, I don't know. I really didn't like how Thea acted this episode. She learned a lot of new stuff, and it just felt like the writers didn't know what else to do with her. Like, they were like, okay, Thea, she can't really do very much on the show except for take her baby back and forth and run away. Like, that's all she can do as a character, pretty much. Which is weird because the whole thing where she came to Michael with the baby, that felt like it was a cliffhanger, and that, they wouldn't be very happy with Michael having Thea and the baby at their house, and that it would lead to something pretty brutal. And so it was pretty surprising that they just kind of let it go, and then the baby is just, oh God. Oh. Okay, let's get back to the courtroom because that part's at the end with the baby. Lee thinks Eugene has suffered enough. LOL. When has Eugene Jones ever suffered in this whole season? Like, I'm not talking about where he suffered by losing his family. I'm talking about in this season, after the events of the finale where he killed Adam in cold blood, when did Eugene Jones ever suffer? He got taken in by Desire Gang. He got put in a storage unit with a giant fucking mega Evian bottle and some food, some snackums. She probably gave him like a magazine or something. Didn't she give him like an iPad so that he could watch, like, I don't know, High School Musical or something? Like, he never suffered. And then he went to Houston and he got put into school somehow, and he got this whole new family situation where it was like a cushy, boring, mundane home life, and he got to, have a normal life, and he got to get to do all the drawings he wanted. And then he ran back to New Orleans in like a night or something, and he helped out Desire Gang with money that they needed, and then they let him stay with them. And then what happened after that? Oh yeah, after that he was gonna go back, and but then there was the car thing, and he just kept getting out of all these situations, and then he got shot in the shoulder, and he got like all this protection at the hospital by Lee, and Lee basically, she acted like she was his eternal servant, like fucking, like Eugene was Blackula, and and Lee was his servant, which honestly, I do think that the guy who plays Eugene, he could make a good Blackula. And I swear to God, I'm being serious. I'm not just being mean or something. I'm serious. I'm saying, like, for some reason, he gives me Blackula vibes. Because this is all the stuff that happened this season with Eugene, all of it would have happened if it was Blackula. Like, you guys realize that, right? Like, Blackula, especially in Blackula Scream, he just got whatever he wanted, and he was like invincible. Even at the end of the movie, he's just getting shot at, and he's just like glaring at the main woman, and then he comes up and kills her, the main character, and the whole movie ends with, like, I think he's like killed everyone, and he's just like, nothing can get him. And it feels like Eugene is like the same type of character where, he can get shot at, he can get put behind bars temporarily, but nothing is going to stop him because he's Eugene Jones. So this whole episode is kind of built around making you think that Eugene did suffer after he killed Adam. And it's this weird, it is just like, I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone watching this episode. Like, I felt like people who didn't even watch season 2 wrote this episode. Like, that's why I said the writers of season 1. And Eugene says he was never made aware of an investigation into his family's deaths. Yet we know that Eugene didn't have any home, so he was running rampant all around New Orleans, and there was no way to reach him to tell him about any investigation. Like, how would they reach him? Would they just find him on a street corner? And then a police officer would go up to him and say, "Hey, Eugene, your family, they died because of a quote-unquote gas leak." Like, is that what they were supposed to do? Because then the police would have been like, young man, why are you just running rampant all around the city? Why aren't you in the foster care system or with a relative or something? Like, this whole thing of why didn't anyone notify Eugene about investigating his family? Like, even the audience didn't know that the police investigated his family's deaths. And then Eugene, he stops the entire courtroom. Like, this is just so wacky, this moment where Eugene is like, They had names. And then they're like, what? What did you say, Eugene? And he's like, my family had names. Wah! And so Eugene's acting was good, but at the same time, just wow. Like, just this random moment where it's like, my mom, her name was Felisa Badisa, and my sister, she was Rose, glycerine, and then my other sibling was Tonto. Like it was just this random like emotional moment where we're supposed to feel sorry for Eugene, and it's like, no, I don't feel sorry for Eugene at all. He was supposed to take a deal where he got like 20 years or 14 years or something, or he was supposed to be out in 3 years with good behavior, and instead of taking the deal, he was like, no, I want to have a trial because I never did anything wrong. And it's like, fuck off. And LOL, now that Michael gave Lee a bombshell, she's referring to him as Judge Desiato again. So now that Michael, he goes up to her in the hallway, and he's like, I gotta talk to you, Lee. And he gives her this piece of information to help her. And so now that he did that, she's calling him Judge again, which I thought was fucking retarded. And they solve the Jones family killing in like 2 seconds. It took one episode to solve Michael's wife's death. It took the show like 1 second to solve Eugene's family's death, because Eugene says that they turned the gas off and their family were not making gas payments. So there couldn't have been a gas leak at all. And by the way, there was this whole part where Michael supposedly opened a door into the events that took place before the night of the shooting. I thought that was complete bullshit, That was total contrivance to make the plot conveniently go the way that they wanted them to go. And LOL at Fia storming out of the court and leaving her other father figure. As I said, she's just going to bounce around like a ping pong ball. She's going to go from Michael to Jimmy to Michael to Jimmy to Michael to Jimmy. And then she's probably going to meet some guy who's in like his 60s, and he's going to be her quote-unquote boyfriend. And then she's going to treat him like a father figure, and then she's going to bounce around and bounce around and bounce around. And it's like, ugh, gross. Not really a strong, independent whamming character anymore, is she? Eugene finally apologizes to Michael. He doesn't really act like he wanted to apologize, though. He just acted like he was doing it as a favor to make Michael feel better. Like this whole episode was built just around like the Eugene trial, sympathizing with Eugene, letting Eugene get free from having done anything wrong, because apparently he already suffered enough, which I never saw that happen at all. Even Olivia wants to help Eugene. Like, all of a sudden, Olivia, she's completely changed to having a motive of wanting to help Eugene. Eugene. And so now they're going to put him in witness protection. LOL. They're going to give him a new life and let him disappear like the Grinch again. And he's not going to, like, ugh. I wish I could rub my eyes right now and face palm, but I can't because the mosquitoes bit me under my eyes, and so I can't touch them. Oh, God. Like, how could you do this? Like, how, like, who wrote this episode? Like, did someone, like, fall asleep at the wheel for the whole season, and then they just woke up at the end and they decided to write this last episode? Like, who the fuck wrote this fucking piece of shit episode? Like, God, I hate this episode. It's so bad. And by the way, like, Elizabeth, her character hardly has anything in the finale, even though she learned all this new information. She's just kind of there with Michael. Like, she's not really, like, I don't know, like, it's like these characters that they're just not acting like people. They're just acting like robots that, like, stand around at a museum. And it's like, oh, Elizabeth, your grandson or whatever, what would he be called? I don't fucking care. Adam killed Rocco. And Elizabeth is like, oh, really? Oh, okay. I'm not really a character anymore because the plot really isn't needing me to be a character right now. So maybe in season 3, I'll finally be activated again, and I'll come back and I'll make another joke about the big biscuits being made from a box, and then I'll become a character again. And it's like, God, what? Do they not like the actress playing Elizabeth? Because she was one of the better actors from the first season, and she had this tendency to roast people, and she was very loud and very powerful in, like, a comedic but truthful way. Like, she really spit facts, and she knew what she was talking about. And now she's like this robot who just comes into the plot. Like, there was a really good episode where she was teaming up with Michael, and then after that it was just nothing. It was like, where did all that development with her character go? And then she finds out that Michael did all that covering up, all this bad shit that Michael did, and he confesses right in front of her, and he talks to her all about it. And she's like, she doesn't even, like, have any emotional reaction at first. All she does is go, well, you're doing it to help Adam, so that's fine. And then it's done. It's like, what is going on here? That this is all you have to say? Even Olivia, oh, I already did that one. Gina pretend blames Jimmy and says that Jimmy is making her feel bad or something, I don't know. And so then Hector shoots him in the hallway. And wow, that was the best part of the episode. Like, nothing happened this episode really with, like, any gang war or something. Like, they made it seem like the whole season that it was building up to this gang war, and that, they were going to have, like, a Godfather style moment with the christening where the baby gets christened, and then they would have, like, bad stuff go on as a tribute to the Godfather. They never did that. And then Jimmy just gets taken out by Hector, and Hector does it because his daughter cries. She fake cries. And it's like, ugh. Like, that would have been a cool moment. It would have been so much cooler if Hector was like, you know what, you used to do this all the time as a kid. You used to come up to me and fake cry and pretend like somebody else did something wrong. And that would have been a much more realistic moment, especially when they already established that this family, they had, like, a bias against women. And so it would have made much more sense if Hector was like, who cares? You're probably not telling the truth anyway. And it would have made it where, she actually has to do something else. Like, I don't know, it was really bad. It was like, it was such a stupid way to end the story, a stupid way to make things turn out, because then Hector goes to prison, and then I think... And nobody else goes to prison, though. It's just Hector. Like, Jimmy, he's gonna walk free, I guess. And then Gina's... Oh, we'll talk about that. Eugene walks out into the sunlight while there's uplifting music, and Olivia and Lee are waiting for him. This is fucking gay-ass bullshit. I hate it. And you guys want a sample of the writing for this episode? Well, Olivia asks Lee, what are you gonna do now, Lee? Are you gonna come to Boston with me and prosecute bootleggers? And this is a genius line, guys. So much better writing than Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. She says, I don't know. Like, yay. Clap, 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 clap. Like, that is such intelligent writing. What are you going to do now, Olivia? I mean, Lee? I don't know. Like, who wrote this? We have to look up who the fuck wrote this shit. I'm fucking pissed off with this episode. It's a good thing that I'm not in the car. That's all that I can say. Like, this episode was a fucking disaster. Who wrote this piece of shit? This fucking F- episode. It was developed by the person who created the show. Okay. There was one person who supposedly wrote the show and executive produced the show for season 2 only. He wrote 3 episodes. I hope he didn't write part 7 of this season. Nope. He wrote the first episode of this season, season 2, and he wrote the last episode, and he wrote episode 7 of season 1. And besides that, he wrote 10 episodes of a show called The Good Fight, a movie called Shock and Awe, the shitty LBJ fluff movie with Woody Harrelson, and some short story, Mountains Will Move. Well, he didn't write the script for that one. So, yeah, I would say it was probably a huge mistake letting somebody who didn't write the episode 7 to write episode 10, because episode 10, it was a disaster, and it was nothing like episode 7. And they really should have said, you know what, the person who wrote episode 7, they need a raise, and they need coddling, and they need, like, perks and stuff, because episode 7 was a masterpiece. Who wrote episode 7? Bill Kane. Let's see what else he wrote. He was co-producer of one episode of Your Honor. That was... Episode 7 was the only episode he wrote of Your Honor Season 2. And somehow he wrote the best episode of the series and one of the best episodes in years. And it seems like he usually writes television, and that makes sense because it seemed like it was written by somebody who knows how to write television, which the finale was not written by somebody who knows how to write television, in my opinion. You know, episode 1 of this season, it was fantastic because it was almost like a mini movie in the sense that it was a very dark setup. It was a slow burn, but there were a lot of questions. You know, the timing was very inaccurate and off. It was very inconsistent, and people were questioning the time inconsistencies. And I would not have had the person who wrote episode 1 write the finale. But then again, like, I don't really know how much free reign he had in writing, like, the story points of the finale, because these were all, like, major story points. So, in a proper television show, they should all be planned out ahead of time, and, it would just be, like, the script that he wrote. So, I don't know. I really can't say, but it was a piece of shit. That's for sure. I'm going to take a drink. Big Mo teams up with Gina so that she can expand. Little Mo never double crosses Big Mo, so that whole thing where we were discussing that, maybe Little Mo has a plan. No, he doesn't have any plan. He's just going to be loyal to her, even though the whole season she was just worse and worse and worse. Like, Big Mo, she has learned no lesson this season. She has had no consequences for her actions. It's ridiculous that, like, Eugene and Big Mo, they did all these terrible things. Well, I guess Eugene didn't really. He did do one huge terrible thing, though. I mean, but both of them, it's like in the finale, the whole point is that both of them will learn no lessons at all. Like Big Mo, she lost her fiancé. But she doesn't really care. She's still in the business. She made no attempt to go after her fiancé or anything. So it's like she learned no lesson at all. It's like she's just going to keep doing what she's always done. She's not going to... This is so, like, unsatisfying when you look at the way that the season was building up. And this was a terrible season finale, even worse than the first season's finale. They rushed things too much because they only have 10 episodes a season. And if this is a series finale, then it might be one of the worst series finales of all time. They make sure to show Eugene getting away like the Grinch, and he's smiling at the end. And that was just like a major, like a middle finger to the audience. And there's no justice for Mayor Charlie. Like, there's no... It seemed like there was something building up where Michael confronted him in episode 7, and it was like this really fucking epic, like, there's gonna be a showdown with these characters. Nope, not gonna get that. And then, like, Nancy, like, it just felt like every single storyline was just kind of cut off for no reason in this episode. Like, every storyline was just kind of let go in this, like, really haphazard, sloppy way. And so, like, nothing feels satisfying because everything feels like it's unresolved now, like, again. Which is funny because I said a couple episodes ago that, this is really satisfying, and it doesn't feel like it's going to be like with season 1, where it was almost a crime if they never made a second season. But it is at that point again, because this ending was a disaster. And this ending is so bad, it almost undoes all the good the rest of the season did. Like, that's how bad of an ending this is. Like, I don't care if you wanted to end the series. I don't care if you didn't want to do any more episodes. You should have ended it in a good way. And if you say, well, we didn't have enough time. Well, you should have convinced them to give you an extended episode for the last one and make it like a movie length or something. Like, do that or something. I don't know. Because I would never do a TV show that's 10 episodes, I would want at least 13. Hector went to prison. which, so the whole thing with Gina, that was also to frame Hector because he didn't want a woman being in charge. And, it kind of makes you think, like, are they kind of constrained by having Bryan Cranston as the main character? Like, is it that he's so busy that they just want to, get it over with so that they can move on and, not have to worry about working with, his schedule being like in 1,000 different projects? Like, I really have no clue. Like, I really don't know. Like, it's kind of weird. It's kind of fishy if you look at it, because the rest of the season was building up in such a nice way, and I felt like, how could they end it this way? Like, how could they take everything that they built up the whole season and then just throw it in the trash and take a wee-wee all over it? And then I will say the worst thing of the whole series is that Fia gives her baby away. This was so bad, I groaned out loud. I went like, oh, much louder than that too. I don't know what they were thinking with that. I don't know. I don't know how to put into words how much I hate that. Like, I was so pissed off. I was so mad. I guess now I know what it must have felt like for people when the X-Files was coming out, and when that stupid Scully gave up her baby without consulting with Mulder about it because he was gone. He had been abducted by aliens. Now I guess I know what it must have felt like for people who watched that live when it came out. Like, I was so pissed off when Fia gave away her baby. Like, what the holy fucking hell? Like, I hate it. I hate it so much. I almost want to go get my mind erased so that I can forget that this finale exists. Like, I don't even have any words to describe, like, how bad that is. Like, why? Carlo is going to be the new Jimmy. Woo! And as I predicted, Gina has taken over, and Carlo's at her side, and Carlo's like the new Jimmy, and he's going to be like the puppet, and then Gina is going to be the real leader, which I did think that was kind of interesting, I guess, but I much preferred the possibility of maybe Carlo and Fia teaming up to kill their parents, which I thought that would have been a much more interesting way for things to turn out. And there's unity between the Desire and Baxter gangs. Yay! Vomit. This would have only been good to me if there was a guaranteed season 3, because then I would be like, I can't wait to see Jimmy come back and get these people. Like, I can't wait to see him come back and get Big Mo and get Gina. Like, that's the only way that they could have redeemed this whole, like, woke thing where it's like, oh, look, there's unity between the two gangs. Yay! There's unity between these criminals who kill people and give drugs that are laced with crap so they can kill you. Yay! And Jimmy is not dead, which that was a little silver. What do they call it? A silver lining in a dark cloud, or a whatever. Now, this was the worst part. The worst part was the whole thing with the baby. The second worst part was the very end. Michael goes back to prison, even after being the only good person in the entire finale episode. And yeah, just what a big F you. What a giant fuck you. Like, like, he went back to prison for all the stuff that he admitted on the stand because he was trying to help out Lee, even though she and Eugene did not deserve it in any way, shape, or form. like, if you think about it, though, like, Michael was the only person this entire finale who did anything good. Like, if we go down the list of characters, Big Mo, she didn't do anything good. Gina, she didn't do anything good. She did evil shit. Jimmy, I guess him not letting the Desire Gang expand, that was a good thing, but, the writers think that Jimmy is a beta male, so, not really. So, Carlo, he didn't do anything good. Thea, she didn't do anything good. Mayor Charlie, he just dropped off the face of the fucking universe, even though he was so much involved with the earlier part of the season. Nancy didn't do anything good. Oh yeah, there's that one fucking random thing where Nancy comes to Michael's house and she says that she came over to protect him, and then it's like, what? Like, what the hell? Like, I what the fuck? Because she came over, like, that, to me, that implied that she was gonna help him. Like, she didn't do jack shit for him. What did Nancy do for Michael? Nothing. And then, who else? Oh, Eugene. Oh, fuck Eugene. Eugene did, he apologized to Michael out of, pity. Out of fucking pity and, like, oh, thanks. I just got off even though I killed somebody in cold blood. Yay! Gross. And then, let's see, who else? Like, oh, Lee. Lee didn't do anything good the whole episode. Olivia, she didn't do anything good the whole episode. If you really think about it, if you really analyze, Michael Desiato is the only character who did good the entire episode. Which I guess is some sort of, like, dramatic irony that, in last season, it seemed like he was the bad guy, and in this season finale, it seemed like, he was the one who did all the good stuff the whole episode. Like, I don't know, my brain is completely fried. It's really cold, too. Like, I sound a little stuffy, too, and, because it's so cold in my room and everything, and it's like the middle of winter, even though it's March. So, I'm just completely, like, this review is kind of bad, too, because I'm just so, like, I don't even want to talk about this anymore. Like, this was just so bad. It was so disappointing. And if they're really serious about not doing a season 3, then I would really encourage people to cancel their Showtimes. Because, you know what, like, with season 1, I kind of understood at first because they called it a limited series. But with season 2, they opened up the door and said, you know what, TV shows, when they have stories that need to be resolved, they go on. And we're at the end of season 2 now, and I just don't want to play this game where, like, at the end of every season, I have to, like, be worried about, like, oh, is there going to be another season? Is there going to be another one? Like, it's kind of shitty. It's kind of like, why are you, like, playing with the emotions of fans by, saying that, like, it's a limited series or it's a regular series, or, like, oh, it's canceled. Some people, there are articles that said it's canceled. Like, why are you doing all that? Like, this is why modern TV shows suck. It's because I don't even want to watch modern television because there's hardly any episodes. Like, there's only 10 for this season. And I have to sit around and worry for, like, an entire 5 years wondering if there's going to be another season. Like, just thinking about, Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks should have been on its, I don't know, like, 8th season by now. And we're still sitting around wondering if there's going to be a season 4. Like, it's just kind of ridiculous. You know, that's why they call it television, is because you do a season and then you come back and do another season, and like you don't just let people sit around and wonder and fucking sniff their fingers and be like, oh, maybe, oh, no, there probably won't be another season, but maybe, like, that's just really shitty. So, I hated this season finale. It was really bad. I don't really care very much, though, because I'll just pretend like it doesn't exist and then just think about all the rest of the season when the show was really, really good. And they made that episode 7, which was completely masterful. I don't know what they were thinking with this season finale. I really don't. So please like this video, comment, tell me what you thought of this awful, awful finale. And then please subscribe if you'd like to see my honest review for the season when I'm feeling better from these mosquito bite things. So goodbye, everybody. See you soon.